What's up, fam jam? Just reading this awesome book and decided to share something that's relevant to me and obviously going to be relevant to others as well. And so, this book, by the way, if you'd like to read it, what I can suggest is do what I did was for the iBook store, I pushed sample and read sample, and I enjoyed what I first read, and so I bought the book. But anyhow, the book is called Plant Intelligent and the Imaginal Realm by Stefan Booner. Anyhow, so here he's talking about gating channels and sensory inputs. And so this book mainly, from what I've gathered in these brief pages, is basically how to perceive better. And there's something called gating channels, and gating channels are something that limit or open up your conscious attention and awareness to stimuli. Obviously, this stimulus occurs on many different levels, on many, not just levels of depth and subtlety to our perceptions. So, for example, smell, things like this. Obviously, a dog has a more keen smell, a higher level of perception than yourself. However, that does not mean that you cannot build upon these gateways and to allow a more keen smell through conscious attention and awareness towards this. But for people that maybe be struggling with some sort of ADHD, or here they talk about schizophrenia, but PTSD as well. Bipolar was named. There's many different aspects of mental, psychological disorder, I guess. And what he says here is, he says, although studies on gating problems have occurred with various abnormal states, such as PTSD, Asperger's, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, ADHD, and autism, most of the work has occurred on labeled schizophrenics. So he's talking about the studies that have been related from gating gating problems, channeling in schizophrenics. So a common complaint among this group is of sensory inundation and inappropriate orientating to irrelevant stimuli. And this includes a great deal more than just sound. It is often spread across the sensory spectrum, so many different sensory overloads. Essentially, they perceive a lot of things other people don't, and they don't know how to sort it out. This, in my experience, and maybe in yours, not knowing how to sort it out. You're getting all this information and you're trying to understand it, but you don't know how to sort it out. Or if you are just obviously naturally, spontaneously trying to sort it out, you may be sorting it out in a way that, kind of disorients the world a little bit. Not your world so much, but the world going on, and maybe not being as in tune with let's call it nature, a more grounded truth. In them, the doors of perception are more widely open than in the rest of the population, sometimes much more widely so. So many sensories are much more overloaded in these types of people, and so their experience of the world is so much different, and again, how they're sorting it out. And he says here, inappropriate orienting to irrelevant stimuli. So he puts this in quotations because this had been said before. And he said, by the way, is a cultural definition, not a functional one. So in other words, those who with significantly open sensory gating channels are orienting themselves to sensory inputs that most other people do not notice, and attributing importance to the meanings in these sensory inputs that other people do not. And so I think this is really important for maybe if you're going, you have a hard time with your experience in the world, and you have a hard time kind of relating, and sometimes you may may perceive this world in such an interesting way. Just open yourself up to this concept of like, okay, are my gating channels in certain areas, are they really enhanced at the moment? And to, again, when we understand these things a little bit more, we can be a bit more grounded in them. And it's, the grounding isn't saying get rid of this sensory, you're not going to be able to get rid of it, I don't think, unless you try to consciously do it. That makes sense. But you can understand it, so when it's coming, you don't freak out. This just makes me think of the psychedelic experience with many different plants, doesn't matter what plant, but a lot of people have anxiety because they don't know what's going on, they're not able to control it. And sometimes this happens with, people, schizophrenia, bipolar. Sometimes they know it's happening, but they're conscious that it's happening, but they don't want it to happen. And this is where conflict arises. And sometimes it's outside of their relative control, and they can freak out. They can have anxiety and deepen their depression and so on and so forth. Anyways, not to jump too deeper into that. If I find any more good information, I'll definitely post it. But I thought that was really important, again, for me. But yeah, check out the book if you're interested in more. Much love. Thank you.